For centuries, a cult of eccentrics and amateurs and self-appointed scientists in the Middle Ages tried and failed to turn inexpensive metals like lead into gold. Now, in the environment of 21st century media apparatus, the political right has figured out how to do this. They have succeeded in a very special kind of alchemy. It is an alchemy that is able to transmute totally crazy, trivial, ginned-up fake stories into media-captivating national debates. So while everyone sort of sifts through the media gold that is a planned Park 51 Islamic Community Center, it's useful, I think, to trace it back to its origins as lead. I did the same sort of thing as a reporter for The Nation magazine back in 2007 when I looked into the origins of the Obama is a secret Muslim rumor. What I found was that, in all likelihood, the myth originated with a very strange figure named Andy Martin, a perennial Republican Senate candidate, notorious litigant, and self-described independent contrarian columnist who was raising bizarre allegations about Barack Obama's heritage as far back as 2004. Here's what else I learned about Andy Martin at the time. He was known as one of the most notorious litigants in the history of the United States, having filed hundreds, possibly thousands of lawsuits, often directed at judges who have ruled against him. He once referred to a federal judge as a, quote, crooked, slimy Jew who has a history of lying and thieving common to the members of his race, and once attempted to intervene in the divorce proceedings of a judge who'd ruled against him, petitioning the state court to be appointed as the guardian of the judge's children. We saw similarly bizarre origins when we trace back the birther movement. That one began with famed dentist/realtor/lawyer Orly Tates, whose $20,000 fine for filing frivolous lawsuits was just upheld by the Supreme Court. Somehow, even with Orly Tates as the conspiracy theory movement's advocate-in-chief, birtherism managed to make its way to the floor of the United States House of Representatives.
A little baby with ink on their foot, stamped right there on the birth certificate. There's one in this country we haven't seen.
This latest bit of wingnut alchemy is no different. Meet Pamela Geller, perhaps the original metallurgist who set herself with the task of transmuting the lead of an entirely non-controversial Islamic basketball court/cooking school in Lower Manhattan into a totemic symbol of the eternal clash of civilizations between Islam and the West. Who, you ask, is Pamela Geller? I've never heard of Pamela Geller. Well, I'll tell you about Pamela Geller. In its analysis of the evolution of the Lower Manhattan Mosque project this week, Salon.com traced the hysteria back to Geller. Geller has a blog called Atlas Shrugs, where she refers to the community center project as the, quote, monster mosque, aimed at Islamic domination and expansionism. She's the founder and executive director of a group called Stop Islamization of America, which doesn't really roll off the tongue, through which she has been actively protesting the project. Here's the argument Pamela Geller brought with her to the mainstream media.
It is a triumph. It's triumphal. We know that an Islamic pattern is to build giant mosques on the cherished sites of conquered lands. We know from research done by SANE that 4 out of 5 mosques preach a hate and preach incitement to violence.
There you have it, straight from the deep, dark corners of the free of fact, full of hate right-wing blogosphere to your television screen. While we're on the subject, here are a few more things you might want to know about Pamela Geller's perspective. She's a birther and a deather. She believes President Obama is setting up a secret shadow government and that he's trying to organize a private youth army, which he's recruiting from America's high schools, naturally. She appears to really enjoy calling the people whose politics she disagrees with Nazis, and often she seems to mean it, literally. Perhaps most bizarre of all, she believes that her blog caught a very important scoop when it was able to report that purple is the Obama administration's, and I'm quoting here, official gangsta color. As in, when administration officials are readying for a political fight, they all wear the color purple. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the Ground Zero Mosque controversy originated. It was conceived in the same crank workshop that churned out Obama gang colors. It would be funny if it weren't also very scary. Because out of this workshop of insanity has come a position now being adopted by the Democratic Senate Majority Leader. Well, let's just hope the Senate doesn't decide to consider a bill banning the color purple.